Well, speaking of stories and role-playing and even just relaxing, because while we do a lot of workshopping, I hope that none of you ever feel burdened. None of you ever feel, oh, this is drudgery of the highest order when you walk away from our workshops and our creative sessions. And what I would like to do to cap off our week of making autumn holidays in a role-play fashion is I want us to pretend to be dungeon masters and create a couple adventures. That could be a one-shot. It could end up being a 3-shot. Could even be the premise of an entire campaign. Not that we're going to plot, 20 levels of milestones or anything. But what I'd like to do is take each of our holidays and maybe with the help of a little bit of storytelling and random rolls, we can hash out some fun, some little one-shot adventures that will take place in our harvest settlement. We never really gave it a name, so we could fix that as well if we wanted, and help explore the themes of the holiday through the adventure that is happening. And primarily, there's not really a fixed worksheet for this. At least I haven't made one yet. And you'll see why, because I want to be a little bit more flexible in what we decide to do, especially because I love that impromptu storytelling of let's stream of consciousness, what comes to mind. And there will be random rolls, but they're not necessarily going to be consistent random rolls between each of our holidays here. So if you are playing along at home, have your Dungeon Master's Guide open to Part 2, Chapter 3, Creating Adventures. Hey, it's Baba Yaga's hut. Hi, bud. Did you get your ball? I don't see it. Where'd it go? I don't see it. Alright, well, you just be a lovable lug. I don't know where it went. I did find a blackberry lemonade, though. So I'll be enjoying this as we plot and plan. Alright, so we are on page 71 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. And if you don't have it, hey, it's up here on screen for you. If you have trouble reading it, let me know, and I can either enlarge it or I'll make sure to... let's say I skip over something for all players and you want to know what it says, tell me in chat. I will be happy to go back and read it to you. Oh, you are doing a Baba Yaga adventure. Well, then this imagery is certainly a good inspiration. And you know what, Donnie? If elements of that adventure you find to be inspiring for our fall holidays, or even if you need, I don't know, some inspiration for that, and we can work it through our workshop, let me know. Cromdrade, don't worry. I have one up here for you to access. We'll use my copy. Just as I bring all the books, I bring all my books to my open sessions at the store. I bring my books here for the workshop for you all as well, so we can pour through them together. They saw the tracks for the hut and told the town they're screwed and beat feet out of there. Oh, okay. So they didn't even try and follow the hut. Yep, you're very welcome, Cromdrade. Alright, the DMG has a lot of very good inspiration, and it's written with a real talk aspect. An adventure shares many of the features of a novel, movie, an issue of a comic, an episode of a TV show. So it's realizing, this is written with the realization we are in our real world. We watch movies, we read comic books, and it talks to you in this voice that can relay the things that we may know from our interaction with pop culture into then how can you run that in a D&D setting? Nina says, I think I've decided which box you're going to open. Sure, which box would you like? Raven, I'll say this. I've told Matty Morgs earlier, I already feel I'm a better DM by making my own towns and homebrew thanks to his workshops. And I'm, so cheers to you, and I'm very glad that that's the case for you, Raven. Blackberry lemonade's pretty good. So now I'm having carbon dioxide water along with my hydrogen water. What foul chemistry is going to take place inside of me now? There is a summary of the elements of a great adventure. These are this is very good advice. Things that it's listed. It doesn't have to be in a list or always show up in a particular way. Did you put the ball around here? You're swarming. You're a one-cat swarm. What's going on here? I don't know. But take it as advice. All right? Here we have random tables for goals, adventure villains, and you'll see that we dip into this when we do our villain creation workshop, adventure allies and patrons, an adventure introduction, suggested climaxes, event-based villain actions, event-based goals. All kinds of advice. You want to run a mystery? Do you want to run an intrigue? How do you manage the villains in that? What about a framing event? And we're definitely going to be using this. We're going to be using a framing event if for at least one of our stories. If you're not sure when you want to plan a one-shot or a little mini module you're making yourself, there's some great moral quandaries, and then how to go about considering them. Twists that you can put into the story. If you're not sure about how to tell a story, or you want to give that that M. Night Shyamalan treatment, pardon, but you don't feel up to the task yourself, or maybe your players are a little bit more passive, and they want to be told the story rather than interact with it, then this is Twist is a good way to light a fire under their butts. Oh, I hope you survived, O'Sheeps. When building your own setting, I'm able to DM better because you know the world better. Yes. Correct, Donnie. I feel the same way. We can create side quests. Then we go into objectives, creating encounters. This is how to plan a fight. You know, what monsters are appropriate for my PCs if they're 9th level? Well, here we go. You add up the experience that they would offer, and if it's a 2400 XP fight, then for a party of 4 characters, that's going to be a deadly encounter. But we don't need to go into all the detail here on what happens with the minutia with the encounters. I want to talk about stories and story prompts. And if we have time, maybe we can go and throw a fight in there. But honestly, with tools like Kobold Fight Club, it makes the crunch a lot easier. Beginning, we are going to have our first adventure take place during Frostfall. Frostfall as a holiday. Let's go to it here. The point of the holiday is we're enjoying the plentiful bounty the town has been able to gather together, friends and families working together for the collective good as a way to ward against evil. This is a day around the appreciation of labor, working together and getting things done before the first frost hits. And for each of our holidays here, we have traditions, taboos, so families set out samples of their harvest to help encourage good future growth. Gathering at the town windmill for a dance and leave offerings by the old stone circle of the first stone silo that was raised by dwarves. Taboos, you can wear no jewelry or fancy clothes during this time. If you don't wear something that has a gray-blue color, that's a taboo. You can't dispose of your scarecrows or other old objects before the first frost. And there's no fires the night of the frost. Common symbols: a snowflake, a turning leaf, corn and straw bundles, apple blossoms or holly, or a windmill or a silo in design, or, you know, if they cut out little paper decorations or they're making garlands of shapes and the like. We have all of these details, and we're going to reference them because I would love to include some of this. I would love to include some of this for our holiday adventure. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the same. Alright, so Frostfall. The basic presumption is that we have a party of 4 characters. Any 4. Could be 4 bards. A band passing through. It could be, auspiciously, 2 dragonborn druids, a stout halfling barbarian, and, well, I guess it would be a green dragonborn, if not a green dragon in disguise, berserker barbarian. So 2 barbarians and 2 druids. It could be any combination. We're going to presume that there's a party of 4, that they are arriving in town in the midst of this holiday. It could be someone is setting fires during Frostfall. And Crumdrade, well, I am going to roll a random prompt for that. I do want to say, to reinforce what has been expressed above by others, when you create your own setting and you create your own holidays, it's so much easier. It's so much easier to make content like what you're talking about because you're already familiar with the basics and just what meaning it would have for the village to know that someone is setting fires during Frostfall. Of course, and that is all explained. And it also helps your storytelling because you're telling the story of the town and the culture and the people. What do they value? Who? Why? Now, our framing events here, honestly, our framing event would almost be the holiday itself. If you want some sort of a sub-event, like at this holiday, we are also going to be doing something else. And so, Crumdrade, will you roll me a percentile? And see if we have something that that would also be a good... we have our holiday, and that's enough alone. I'll see if this doesn't end up being too redundant, as we might get a little bit more traction out of the adventure introduction. But we have our framing event of Frostfall. They are, Donnie. Absolutely. In fact, Pete and Jeremy over on D&D Time were making a scarecrow race to be used in the D&D Time world. It's exclamation point 1D100. And just as a note, any of the dice rolls are always the exclamation point, the number, the D, and then the type of die to be rolled. Stops on a 14. The arrival of marching Modrons. All right. So let's get some town music playing. What are Modrons? Are little robots from the plane of Mechanus. They look kind of like robotic minions from why am I derping on the computer cartoon? Anyway, kind of like the minions with the goggles and everything. There's a picture of Modrons somewhere. They're in the monster manual, but there's a really good picture of them marching around in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Oh, there they are. Reboot would be a good one too, Raven. Yeah, in a way, it would be kind of like a horde of 14 minions. Corvus, welcome. I went too far. All right, there we go. All right, so our first Frostfall adventure, because let's come up with a couple different ideas. Premise. During the holiday, Modrons march down the country road. And because Modrons are... They're kind of like lawful elementals. In fact, here. Mephits. Marrow. Mimics. Mind Flayers. Modrons are beings of absolute law that adhere to a hive-like hierarchy. They inhabit the plane of Mechanus and tend to its eternally revolving gears. Their existence, a clockwork routine of perfect order. Under the direction of their leader, Primus, Modrons increase order in the multiverse in accordance with laws beyond the comprehensions of mortal minds. Their own minds are networked in a hierarchical pyramid in which each Modron receives commands from superiors and delegates orders to underlings. A Modron carries out commands with total obedience, utmost efficiency, and an absence of morality or ego. So, cogs of a great machine, absolute hierarchy. The Great Modron March. When the gears of Mechanus complete 17 cycles once every 289 years, Primus sends a vast army of Modrons across the outer planes, ostensibly on a reconnaissance mission. The march is long and dangerous, and only a small number of the Modrons return to Mechanus. In a sense, Corvus, yes, it's a D&D Omnissiah from 40k. Hey, I ran Dark Heresy for years, and I've played 40k for a long time as well. So are they bad or annoying? So Nina, what would to address that and what Donnie Sorrow said, not very in tune with the theme, Modrons would absolutely cause havoc during Frostfall. Yeah, yep, Crumdrade. I was thinking the same thing. They're messing with the harvest offerings because either odd numbers or there's just like, you know, there's odd bundles of sticks and hay and other things that have been left out. So during the holiday, Modrons march down the country road and reorganize or destroy the offerings left to appease the writer. Now remember, that's not the guide. The guide is the one who the guide is the one who comes to the spirits of the departed to lead them on. This is the silver dragonborn who comes down from the mountain as this frost-breathing raider who will cover the pumpkins and anything left out in the field in frost. Ah, Tanya the Evil. Gotcha, Nina. They've gone full Borg, assimilating the connected planes, going for absolute order. Now, what is going to happen then, as the Modrons are marching through, and look, these aren't necessarily high CR creatures. So we're talking about that. This is, this would be an adventure that you could run for a party of level 1, level 2. Level 1 or level 2 characters. But if they're going to come through and they're going to reorder everything, this is going to cause problems. Because they're setting out samples of their food. So, they'll take, if one plate has 3 apples and another has 4 apples, so that's 7, and another has another 3, they might take all the apples and split it into 5 and 5 and balance out the offerings. Or the old stone circle of this broken down windmill. So it is a thing of artifice. It's something that turns, but maybe it creaks, or maybe it's not as efficient as it could be. And so you have Modrons that the village, the simple farming people. Yes, you know what? It's a CR8 creature if you run a mono drone out of the monster manual. Do you think a bunch of farmers are going to want to take on extra planar robots marching through their town? But they're definitely going to be messing up they're going to mess up the celebration, and this could end up meaning something really bad. This is going to make the rider very upset. And it could bring an extra early winter. No one's prepared, or they didn't go through the proper rituals. Taboos: no jewelry or fancy clothes. Would the townsfolk consider the presence of finely made robots to be fancy jewelry? And now we have, the town is riddled with fancy jewelry, who are also not wearing gray-blue. They're absolutely taboo. Dispose of your scarecrows before the first frost is a taboo. What do you think these Modrons would be doing as they're cleaning up a path through the countryside? So already, I mean, just with this, we don't need anything else more than a premise for the adventure of Modrons roll into our town during Frostfall. Ta-da! And it's up to the player characters to handle it, either by... what's the resolution? Destroy or drive off the Modrons? Those are 2 possibilities. What about this? If that's not the case, allow the rider to confront the Modrons. Because the Modrons... No, the Modrons can't be reasoned with. And if you... Alright, remember, if you run it as the book is describing them, they have this absolute hierarchy. They take orders from those above them. And all of them have this ability called axiomatic mind. The mono drone can't be compelled to act in a manner contrary to its nature or its instructions. And that is... This is on all of the Modrons. They cannot be influenced or reasoned with. Yes, you can have rogue Modrons. And what you might even have what you might even have is, how about this? Rogue Modrons arrived first before the festival and were helping to harvest the crops and improve labor, right? They're saving time. They're machines. They're not getting tired. And so the town first feared, then began to enjoy the Modrons. When Frostfall arrives, so too does a patrol of axiomatic Modrons who are hunting for the rogues, as well as bringing order to the chaos that is the traditions. And now we have an interesting mix. So now we have Modrons arrived at scared people, but then they started actually helping, and they don't need to eat, and they could just dig in the dirt, and it was making their harvest much more efficient. And the rogue Modrons might have even been given a hat, a harvest hat to wear, been given some kind of a gray-blue something to wear, so that they do fit in because the village adopted them. Well, now Frostfall is on the way, and now we have a squad of axiomatic Modrons who are out to get the rogue ones. And this causes a conflict, both because it's bringing a fight into this farming village, but this phalanx of Modrons are also probably like fixing stuff along the way. They're balancing the number of apples left out in front of houses or at the offering site. Maybe they're trying to repair the old circle of stones that was the first silo, because it's disorganized. And they're doing it because they know that the other Modrons are around, but until they find them, they have orders to bring order to the world around them. And this could end up turning into a 3 or a 4-way fight, where you have the player characters, the rogue Modrons, the axiomatic ones that are hunting down the rogues, and then you have the supernatural boss or force of the rider, who comes tearing down from the mountain and is very upset. Pardon. Who is very upset at what is going on in the village. At the same time, he can't deny that the fields are clear. He is not disappointed by that. And so maybe on this one Frostfall, the writer sends his belligerents against the invading Modron army to help turn the tide. And before he leaves and frosts everything over, everyone gets one, and then continues down the way, frosting over the fields and the forest and ushering in the feelings of winter. All right, see you later, Donnie. And see you later, sheeps. Yeah, and you know what? Kromdrade, this doesn't have to even end up in combat. Your players, if this is your prompt, your players might want to capture the rogue ones and offer them to the orderly ones. That could resolve the conflict as well. Or capture the orderly ones and offer them to the writer as a tribute or something. Or just destroy them. It could turn into a battle of attrition. Yeah, so the writer doesn't want the town to be destroyed. He rides to invoke fear and to be this sort of force of penalty against people who are too lazy to harvest when they can. Kind of like an ants and the grasshopper moral. And now we have a story that has multiple ways that your party can interact with it. And look, all we did was roll a random prompt from the Dungeon Master's Guide. The arrival of marching Modrons in the context of our setting that we created and our holiday that we created, that also then involves a villain who would end up turning into a reluctant ally in the face of this Modron march. Ta-da! So there's one story. So let's call this Premise 1, Resolution 1. Destroy or drive off the Modrons, allow the rider to confront them, make alliances with any side. Let's have another premise. Premise 2, Resolution 2. All right. So what is something else that we can say is happening here? Well, we can roll a goal, a dungeon, a wilderness, or another goal. So Corvus, would you please type exclamation point 1d3? You get a 1. Okay. So we're gonna have we're gonna make a dungeon one shot with a Frostfall. With a Frostfall as the background. All right, Crumdrade, would you please roll a d20? And hi, Victor. Good morning to you. Stops on an 18. Parlay with a villain in the dungeon. Premise 2. Parlay with a villain in the dungeon. All right. Now, if we wanted to roll the adventure villain, I think we certainly can. This could be an external force. Or, if we're talking about a dungeon and a villain, the holiday is centered around one that we already made. To parlay with a villain in a dungeon. What if it's been really wet this autumn? And so it has made it very difficult to harvest the crops. And the town is panicking. Because if the frost comes and they only have 50% of their crops harvested, it's going to be devastating and bring a curse upon everyone. And they're hoping that the adventurers that arrive in the town can go to the mountain and parlay with the rider to spare them another week or something along those lines. Or, Crumdrade, we could have that someone stole. Exactly. Come on, bud. There we go. Nina, would you please roll a d20? Exclamation point 1d20. Stops on a 19. All right. So, someone has been, if we don't want to go with the weather, which we can, let's say someone's been messing with the offerings. Put that away, bud. Come on. Parlay with a villain in a dungeon. A humanoid under a curse has sabotaged the offerings. and committed great taboos in the days leading up to Frostfall. Sounds like we might have a bit of a mystery on our hands. Who's doing this? Who's sabotaging Frostfall? Now, in order to help figure this out, we're gonna need some allies. Victor, will you please type exclamation point 1D12? To help them find the person responsible, they will need to work with number 9 with a celestial ally. The NPC who sets them on this path is a local cybernetic Elithid. Will you please type exclamation point 1D20? A temple official. It writes itself, everyone. That's what we say on this channel, and it is absolutely true. The NPC who sets them on this path is a local temple official. Iwi. You're fine, cybernetic. Ta-da! Now, if we could go through and roll some more. If we did want this to be to have some more specification, even though we have an idea for the villain, we could go into our villain creation workshop and make the villain and flesh the villain out even more. And we can go to our NPC creation and flesh out our NPC even more. You know, who is the town friar, the old friar that wants to send him out on this, or whomever. It could be the eldest fertility midwife priestess. Exactly. You could have a returning villain from a campaign, or if this is the first part, the person afflicted is the villain of this adventure, but the one doing the afflicting is the ultimate villain of whatever you go on and do after this one shot. So, you know, we've already, in our couple prompts, we've started with the villain. Determine the villain's actions. You know, we don't even need event-based goals. We already know what the party's gonna do. KISS, K-I-S-S. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't over-convolute things. Your players will convolute to their heart's content. As a dungeon master, set a fixed goal on the horizon for the session, for the adventure, the module, the campaign, and guide towards that. Let your players make it complex. You don't necessarily, not that you can't, but don't overcomplicate. You know, so here, if we say we want to run a mystery, it's going to be a mystery one-shot. A mystery is a form of event-based adventure that usually focuses on the adventurer's efforts to solve a crime, usually a robbery or a murder. Unlike the writer of a mystery novel, a dungeon master can't always predict what the characters will do in a mystery adventure. A villain whose actions are crime spree, one and done, or serial crimes might inspire you to craft a mystery adventure around that villain's crimes. Similarly, if the adventurer's goal include determining the villain's identity, that might be part of a mystery. To build a mystery adventure, follow the steps for creating any event-based adventure. Then consider 3 additional elements for the adventure: the victim, the suspects, and the clues. The warrant. Ooh, the chase. Ooh, the chase. Think about the victim's relationship to the villain. Though you can create a strong scenario with no such relationship, part of what makes a mystery exciting is the discovery of the twisted connections between NPCs and how those connections led to the crime. Your cast of characters should include an assortment of other NPCs who didn't commit the crime, but who had the motive, the means, or the opportunity to do so. Then there's clues. Clues point to the identity of the villain. Some clues are verbal, including the statements of suspects and witnesses, to help the adventurers develop a picture of what happened. Other clues are physical, such as an unfinished message written in the victim's blood, a piece of jewelry left behind by the villain, or a weapon found hidden in a suspect's room. Victor says, okay, I wrote some summarized history for Taren, or at least primordial times. You're welcome to share, Victor. Cromdrade says, my kids have blown my mind and challenged me by complicating the simplest hack and slash adventure. Yep. Funny what happens when you start telling that tale, huh? You know, you'd rather have this be intrigue, but let's go with a mystery. Parlay with a villain in the dungeon. So ultimately, I think the villain could be the writer. But to get there, we need to take steps to go from the country, village, and the hills far away. Discover what's happened, confront it, and then take the evidence to the one who would end up judging the village for what has happened. Oh, you had a party member marry the BBEG? Oh, wow. That's what a twist. Victor said in the time before time, land was inhabited by strange and twisted creatures. Nurgans, colossi, forgotten beasts of old. You have captured the essence of origination style writing, Victor. I like it. So the DM had to shift the campaign to helping him conquer. A plan is a list of things that can go wrong, my friends. So when we're talking stories and plot lines, just remember that could end up getting pretty skewed. All right, so the premise, parlay with a villain in a dungeon. A humanoid under a curse has sabotaged the offerings and committed great taboos in the days leading up to Frostfall. To help them find the person responsible, they'll need to work with a celestial ally. The NPC who sets them on this path is a local temple official. And so we have resolution 2. And by the way, if you write a mystery, start your mystery with the statement of who did what to cause it. And always refer back to it when you're building your mystery. And so we could even put here, mystery solution. Old man McGillicuddy was trying to set up his rival farming family of import because of a family matter. He used some fiendish magic found in a book in his family's cellar to cause mischief and get it blamed on the rival family's heir. So Old Man McGillicuddy was trying to set up his rival farming family of import because of a family matter. He used some fiendish magic found in a book in his family's cellar to cause mischief and get it blamed on the rival on the heir. So there we go. That is what caused our mystery. And so now we have several veils that we need to peel back. Because we know that there's a victim of a crime who is actually initially blamed as the criminal. Then we find out, oh, he was possessed by a demon. Now we got to track down the demon. We need the help of a celestial. And then after that, we learn who summoned the fiend. Which leads us to Old Man McGillicuddy. But Old Man McGillicuddy, while he's the propagator of the mystery, ultimately isn't the one we have to answer to. Because now that we have the evidence, the confession, or even to get Old Man McGillicuddy to come with us, we need to go to the mountain and invoke the writer and be judged by him for what has happened. And for some sort of maybe a sense of justice to be carried out. So the resolution: discover who sabotaged the offerings. Discover what possessed the criminal, or in this case, criminal. Research the nature of the fiend. Coming into contact with the... Hey, Blackwolf, thank you. With the temple NPC. During research, discover the family conflict. Take evidence to McGillicuddy and confront him. Obtain proof/confession to the mountain. Fight through the mountain dungeon in order to parlay with the writer to reconsider punishing or cursing the village for what happened, and instead make the old man pay for justice. Sorry, I missed some chat here. You're continuing some solid writing, Victor. You know, origin stories, Genesis style stories. They're good they're your foundation to set up your world and the cultures and the things that people believe, and even to set up, you know, repetitious actions that, you know, will be thematic throughout the course of your adventure. Cybernetic says it's probably why I just create settings and then let the players cripple themselves by stumbling face first into things. So begin the first recorded time. Yes, free from the primordial. So yeah, so you're creating these chapters, Victor, which is a very good methodology. My favorite start to a mystery: the PCs are walking through the town square. Make a dexterity saving throw as a body basically crashes into the paladin from the church spire. Shame the paladin rolled a 1 and was standing next to an open well. Oh no. So here, we just made this can all be done in a one-shot in a couple hours. Each of these steps could simply be a couple checks. You know, it could be a little, you know, you could do, or discover who sabotaged the offerings. You begin by opening up the adventurers arrive into town, they're ready to celebrate, and then, you know, in the morning after they arrive, oh no, our offerings! And then, of course, they're going to run to the rescue because they're the big damn heroes. And from there, someone says, I think I saw someone running away into the hills. Then we have a fun little 20-minute chase scene. They chase down the criminal. They determine that, you know, maybe they bring him back. I mean, hopefully they don't kill him, but hey, maybe that too. You know, you could plant clues like you probably shouldn't kill this person. Looks like he's a very important person in the town. Still, bring him back and determine, oh, he's possessed. They take him to the temple. Another, you know, 20-minute interaction. And the person who's supposed to know about fiends, the temple official, oh yeah. And this is the work of someone who can summon. This is the work of someone who can summon an imp. If you want to make it low power or even higher power. Someone summoned a Glabrazoo and struck a deal to corrupt another person. You know, scale it to what you want it to be. Imps, Glabrazoos, I mean, your party's not going to know. And it's still, the importance is going to be on the role in the story, not necessarily on the stat block behind the devil or the demon or the Yugoloth that's invoked. Now you have research downtime. So we've had a chase with maybe ending in a slight conflict, like, I don't know, a round or two of combat that really is just to subdue him. Then we have some research, a chase, a small combat, a skill challenge, / social interaction. Then we, in the social interaction, go to McGillicuddy. Then you have a bigger fight, which is either random encounters, some skirmishes to the mountain, or just the dungeon itself, if you want to gloss over and say, and then you travel towards the mountain, going over the hills, and after 3 days of travel, you arrive in the dungeon, and you run a short little dungeon. It doesn't have to be under mountain. It doesn't have to be at all. Even though if we want to talk to the writer, the person, the manifestation of the holiday, who's to say that the writer isn't just in a simple 5-room dungeon? Oh, snap! Total Party Chill is here! Ah, everyone, spam your emotes and say howdy hi to Total Party Chill. Ah! We got some Matty Morgs emotes. We're gonna get some Total Party Chill emotes. By the way, you all were absolutely rocking tonight. It was a pleasure to watch your stream and to be a part of it, as I did. You had a really good turnout. Your activity, your energy was just jamming. You gave out a ton of swag to people. Excellent stuff, Total Party Chill. Not that you need some rando like me telling you this, but you did a good job. Wonderful, wonderful. Awesome raid. So, quickly, for any of you who haven't been here before, we are primarily a D&D workshop stream, where we take kind of a Bob Ross / D&D 101 style approach, and we come up with amazing prompts. We come up with characters rolled randomly. We ask you to roll. We have an automatic dice roller, and we also have our character randomizer too, to help remove maybe some of the biases we have, right? If you love playing elves, you might be more drawn to make a bunch of elves instead of thinking about, well, what about tieflings or dragonborns or dwarfs? Anyway, so the workshop that we're doing now to cap off our broadcast week, we have made over the course of this week 4 autumnal festivals from nothing, from random rolls in our imaginations. We did this by creating 2 villains and 2 NPCs. We took the traits of them as characters and turned them into holidays. We also created a setting based on the existence of those holiday mascots, or these avatars, these figures of folklore. Now with our mascots and our setting, we went through and we made... Whoop, that's not the right one. We made a list of our 4 holidays, the point of them, taboos, common symbols. We breathed life into these random numbers and pieces of imagination put together. And now to wrap it all up, we're challenging ourselves that in the context of each of the holidays, beginning with Frostfall, we are using the Dungeon Master's Guide as a resource to prompt ourselves and to say, what would be a fun one-shot or the premise of an ongoing adventure? Whether it's level 1 or level 10. And it's organic, it's natural, you don't have to strain yourself. And I want to say thank you for all of you who have followed. Thank you, absolutely. And I want to tell you, I want to tell you all this. If any of you ever doubt that you are not a storyteller, I'm going to tell you you are incorrect. As human beings, genetically, we are hardwired to be storytellers. That is our gift. From a higher being, from the cold hand of science, of genes, of whatever you want to attribute it to, it's here. Since our beginning, because of the concept and the development of language, of oral traditions, of arts, we are natural-born storytellers. And you have it in you to tell a grand story, to have a fun adventure, whether it's a one-shot beer and pretzels with the boys and girls that you know and love from friends and family, or whether you have plotted meticulously that you are going to make Tolkien rise from the grave and bow to you with literary necromancy at the scope and awesomeness of your level 1 to 20 epic campaign, with machinations that span lifetimes. You already have that. And what we do here, we help unlock it. We help challenge you to think differently. We take non-optimized situations and we make them fun. And we don't optimize them mechanically, but we say, this is how you can interact with something that's different. This is who we are and what we do. And welcome to our workshop. And I get to practice what I preach on Tuesdays when you see members of our community roleplay. Yes, our slogan here is Iwi. You have Owo, you have Uwu. Here we have Iwi. It writes itself. It writes itself. And for all of you who come along on the ride with us, you'll find that it writes itself for you too. So thank you all for the follows. I did see as well, my goodness, that Corrupted Devil has subscribed. Corrupted, I am happy I earned that subscription from you. And I will endeavor to do so. I'll endeavor to do so every month. And if I fail you, then I will continue to try until I do again. All of your subscriptions from the community go into a miniature giveaway on the third month of every, the third Wednesday of every month. So this coming Wednesday is our October giveaway. I take the money from the subscriptions to the channel. I purchase boxes of minis out of my inventory. I have Tyranny of Dragons, Storm King's Thunder, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, Avernus, all of this. And I give out boxes with shipping included to people who are in the channel at the time. We also, as a fundraiser, we do sell boxes of minis. And I'll pop them open on channel. If we're in a really creative mood, I will improv a story with your four blind pulls. I don't know what's inside them. And I'll take you on a little adventure with 4 figures. And you can see that they're popped open. I also have some gacha capsules filled with minis and dice and a lot of other fun stuff here too. Tomb of Annihilation, I don't have Tomb in stock right now. However, I can get some at my distributor, and so I'm going to try and get a brick or 2 of Tomb of Annihilation in for this coming week. But I run a game store. This is my bread and butter. A community, imagination, bringing people together, and unlocking their socialization, unlocking their imagination. So thank you to all of you came over with Total Party Chill for this. I saw I missed a lot of conversation here. Spirit Channel, could you give feedback? PC wants a bard like a grave cleric who sings at births and deaths. Should I let him create a new college or just go with a cleric who sings? You could easily create a cleric that sings. Many backgrounds offer instruments as a proficiency, or honestly, just say that the cleric can sing. You don't need a mechanical benefit to tell you that they can't. And I'll do my best to answer questions like that in chat here. And even if I can't, Sheeps, can you share the link to our Discord? We have a mentor network on our Discord. So if you need writing help, art help, Roll20 help, streaming help, or you want some help with balancing encounters, homebrew stuff, you have questions on world building and other RP stuff, we have mentors, and any of you are welcome to step up and be a mentor as well. It's voluntary. You can get help from myself and others in our community. And so you don't just have an answer. You have a buffet of answers to consider what works best for you as a unique DM in your unique tabletop setting with your unique players. Or as a player and you need advice on, my DM is really, really putting me over the barrel. How can, it's getting frustrating. It's sometimes socially awkward. How can I interact with my DM or other players as a player? We are happy to help out with that. This is exactly why we exist. All right, my soapbox is over. And yes, we do have an orphanage full of minis that are looking for good homes. And what you all just rated and came into here, we finished making 2 stories in our first fall adventure. Well, autumn, because we're calling it Frostfall. By a couple simple prompts in the DMG, we've made compelling one-shots that could be more shots. Balloos, I don't have any capsules made up after Custos bought them out. But I can show how things would work. So we would have we normally have 50 capsules is what it caps at. We have 50 capsules that have little prizes. And so these go into a 2-inch acorn that has a miniature, a piece of paper, something in it. And along with the others down here, I stir and stir and stir. Here, I'll make some ASMR. And when Baloo or someone else says stop, my hand clenches on whatever gacha capsule is in my hand at the time. I then take it up here, and I reveal the contents inside. And so if you pulled this golden prize goblin, on your behalf, I would pay $60 to an artist in our community for a commission of your discretion that the artist will make for you. And it could be 2D or 3D art. It could be knitting. It could be making a jingle. It could be making whatever services are offered by members of our community. I pay a commission on your behalf to them because I do business with people who do business with me. And I support the artists who are here. And there's a $60 goblin, a $40 goblin, and a $20 goblin. Just this past week, from some accumulated people who are looking around, I have paid artists in our community about $500 for various drawings or other creations. For painting miniatures, even. Now, in addition, you can see down here, I don't skimp on the prizes. We have giants. We have dragons. We have painted miniatures. We have unpainted miniatures. I give away dice sets. Here's the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica dice set. Dice bags. Paint sets. I give out paint sets in the capsules as well. So, welcome. It's more than a minute elevator pitch about the channel.